It has been a big week for racism in Australia this week, starting with Sunday night and Sky News, who reached into its Rolodex of political fuck-ups and plucked out Adam Giles, who is the one-time Chief Minister of the Northern Territory who holds the much sought-after record for worst election defeat in the Northern Territory's political history. But the real interest was in Adam Giles's guest, Blair Cottrell, seen here just edging out Tony Abbott for number of Australian flags a human can stand in front of. And to be clear, Blair Cottrell wants every classroom to have a copy of Mein Kampf, advocates violence against women because he says apparently they are attracted to strength, claims to have burned down the house of a man who slept with his girlfriend, and is currently appealing a conviction for inciting contempt for Muslims after staging a mock beheading of the Prophet Muhammad. So you can see why Sky News had his number saved in their contacts list. But just on that, Sky News' news director, or to put that correctly, the director, Greg Burns, did admit that it was wrong to interview Cottrell and that they'd make sure the video was taken down and that his views did not reflect Sky's, which raises the question, do even the people in charge of Sky News not watch Sky News? Because, like, I don't know if you've watched much of Sky News, but if you have, then when you heard Nazi on Sky News show, you didn't think, who was that? You thought, who was that this time? And speaking of Sky News, this week, Andrew Bolt was the subject of racist attacks for a column he published. Sorry, Andrew Bolt was the subject of attacks for a racist column he published, where he had claimed that Australia's identity was under attack from migrants who failed to integrate, citing Caulfield's Jewish community and Dandenong's Indian residents. And all I'll say is, thank God Andrew's never heard of Chinatown, because I think he would flip the fuck out if he knew what was going on down there. But Bolt went on to say that even the flying of the Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander flags on government buildings was attacking our nation's identity. First of all, Andrew, I think you might be confusing Indigenous Australians with migrants. Migrants are people like, say, your parents who, luckily for them, arrived in this country at a time when you weren't a paid columnist. Whereas Indigenous Australians are the people who were here for at least 65,000 years before this new group of white people with weird coloured skin who didn't speak the language came along. So Andrew, I'd be careful with this whole last one in, first one out line you're running. And finally this week, Malcolm Turnbull is under pressure after awarding $443.8 million to an independent organisation called the Great Barrier Reef Foundation without any tender process. And while the opposition is demanding more information, the government is confident that the foundation will spend all of the government money on saving the reef. And given the foundation previously spent money sending Carl Stefanovic snorkeling around the reef to ensure us it's all okay, I think we can agree that the reef is pretty much saved now.